Precious has been described by one movie reviewer as a rare gift sent by some cosmic messenger to stir the senses and awaken compassion. Another reviewer described it as one long women's power rallying cry, in which males are monsters, females are victims, and lesbians are the coolest of all.
This is something that exists in all families,
Yes.
and it's something that has to stop. I think the character was able to negotiate so much given her circumstances, and I think ultimately Precious had a voice.
Please join us in Commonwealth Journal for a conversation about the impact of Precious with two prominent African-American women from Boston, Kelley Chunn and Leah Randolph.
As a people, we have many voices. As a people, we have many stories. This is one of those stories that we need to tell.
That's all ahead on Commonwealth Journal, produced by WUMB Radio with support from UMass Boston, a research university with a student-centered education. I'm Janice Pryor.
My name is Clarice Precious Jones. I want to be on the cover of a magazine. I wish I had a light-skinned boyfriend with real nice hair. But first, I want to be in one of them BET videos.
I want to thank you for joining us today on Commonwealth Journal. Our guests are Kelley Chunn, principal of Kelley Chunn & Associates. It is an award-winning 17-year-old company specializing in multicultural and issue-oriented public relations and marketing. She has numerous community and professional affiliations, including the Boston Coalition of Black Women, the Museum of African American History, the National and Boston Associations of Black Journalists, and the Commonwealth Institute. She is joined by Leah Randolph. A native Bostonian, Leah Randolph is working on her second life after having had a successful career as a professional dancer with the Alvin Ailey Company in New York City. She is now a community activist. For 15 years, she has worked in the area of substance abuse, focusing on women. She has also worked with female victims of domestic violence and the subsequent trauma they incur. In addition to these activities, Leah Randolph has worked with First Inc. and Women's Circle. Kelley Chunn, Leah Randolph, welcome to Commonwealth Journal.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, so good to have you here. You know, we really have a third guest today, and that's the movie Precious. I am so eager to talk about this with both of you. And what I would like to do is share with you two reviews that were given right after Precious came out, and we'll take it from there. So let me first quote for you Ann Hornaday from the Washington Post. She reviewed Precious and said, "Movies come, movies go, but a rare few arrive like gifts sent by some cosmic messenger to stir the senses, awaken compassion, and send viewers into a world made radically new by invigorated alertness and empathy. Such is the movie Precious." She goes on to say that Precious is full of breathtaking contradictions, which in the course of introducing the viewers to unspeakable despair, also manages to imbue them with an exhilarating sense of hope, if not a bright and cheery future for Precious, then at least in the possibilities of cinema as a bold, fluent, and adamantly expressive art form. So now we go to Stephen Whitty, a reviewer who writes for the Star-Ledger in New Jersey. He said, "Although the movie is bearable on screen thanks to its cast, particularly some surprising performances by a trio of underestimated performers," he slams the movie, describing it as very simply a movie about surviving abuse. He says specifically, "The story translates as a long women's power rally cry, in which males are monsters, females are victims, and lesbians are the coolest of all. The whole thing begins to feel like The Color Purple, as rewritten for a poetry slam, heaping on abuse like a horror film." So, that said, your reactions.
Well, I think there are elements of truth in both of the reviews. I think it's important to remember in terms of a setup for the movie that it is grounded in reality, that the horror that the second reviewer that you referred to, it's not something that is coming totally out of someone's imagination.
It's not a fantasy.
But yes,
Yeah.
Push, which the movie is the novel or the book
Yes.
that the movie is based on, was written by a woman named Sapphire who taught a class similar to the one that is portrayed in the movie, where she encountered a student who had many of the issues that Precious is faced with
Right.
in the film. So, the horror that the second reviewer talks about, I mean, it is horror, but it is also real, and it's a powerful journey, and it's a painful journey that we're taken on. But I do think, when you think about what the first reviewer said, the expressiveness of film
Yes.
and art form, that there is an attempt on the part of certainly the actors. It's more than an attempt.
Yes.
Of strong acting, strong performances by the actors in the film, but also by the filmmaker, Lee Daniels, to lift the story of Precious up and to make it more than just, a horrible situation, but to elevate it to the realm of art. And it does, having seen it, I mean, it does move you. Granted, it is melodramatic. There are some elements of melodrama in there, but it is as real as it gets, and it is, in terms of Precious as the outsider, I think that's where the universality of the story is, that it's more than just a black story. She is an outsider. She is marginalized. She is verbally, physically, and sexually abused. She has low self-esteem. She feels that she does not exist.
Right.
And that is the story of an outsider. That is the story of someone who is marginalized.
I think often this storyline is intimidating to a lot of people. One, because it's something that has been hidden, that families experience, not just black families, but it's an experience that happens to many, many, many people. There's an overwhelming experience, unfortunately, for women. There are a lot of male children and males who also experience abuse, whether it's as children or as they enter different systems.
Yes.
It could be the penal system,
Right.
things like that. It's that intimidation, I think, that I got more from the second writer. What hit me was the power rally cry.
Yes.
And so,
Women's power rally.
Women's power rally cry. And so it's like, why do you have to talk about this kind of thing? And for the first writer, what I got was that, she understands the importance of exposure. And although it appears to be melodrama, Kelley and I were talking, and I talked about the stories of the women who I worked with.
Yes.
And as a counselor and a therapist, and sitting in a room listening to these stories, you think that you've heard the war story, and then you hear another one.
Yeah.
And these things really happen to
happen,
people,
yeah.
Yeah.